这句话让整个西方科技圈沉默了，英伟达 CEO 黄仁勋在全球顶尖的播客节目上亲口说出了这句话：中国是当今世界上创新速度最快的国家。说这话的不是旁人，正是黄仁勋先生，全球最强晶片公司的掌门人。他坐在莱克斯弗里德曼的镜头前，字字清晰，没有犹豫。多少年了，西方舆论机器从不停歇，说中国科技是偷来的，说中国企业靠补贴活着。这帮西方精英坐在高位上，用晶片禁令出口管制，一套接一套的封堵中国，傲慢地以为围堵就能掐死一个民主的技术梦想，那种阴险与不可一世，真叫人窒息。但没想到他们自己阵营里最重量级的人物亲口说出了答案。黄仁勋说，全球一半的 AI 研究者是中国人，中国的领袖是工程师，美国的领袖是律师，这场反转精彩的让人热血沸腾。让我们来看这场对话的全貌。
You've recently traveled to China. So it's interesting to ask you, China has been incredibly successful in building up its technology sector. What do you understand about how China is able to, over the past 10 years, build so many incredible world-class companies, world-class engineering teams, and just this technology ecosystem that produces so many incredible products?
A whole bunch of reasons. First of all, let's start with some facts. 50% of the world's AI researchers are Chinese, plus or minus. And they're mostly in China still. We have many of them here, but there's amazing researchers still in China. Their tech industry showed up at precisely the right time. At the time of the mobile cloud era, their way of contributing was software. And so this is a country's incredible science and math, really well-educated kids. Their tech industry was created during the era of software. They're very comfortable with modern software. China is not one giant economic country. It's got many provinces and cities with mayors all competing with each other. That's the reason why there's so many EV companies. That's the reason why there's so many AI companies. That's the reason why there's so many, every company you can imagine, they all create some of them. And as a result, they have insane competition internally. And, what remains is an incredible company. They also have a social culture where it's family first, friends second, and company third. And so the amount of conversation that goes back and forth between, they're essentially open source all the time. So the fact that they contribute more to open source is so sensible because they're probably, what are we protecting? My engineers, their brothers are in that company, their friends are in that company, and they're all schoolmates. The schoolmate concept. It's one schoolmate, your brother for life. And so they share knowledge very, very quickly. And so there's no sense keeping technology hidden. You might as well put it on open source. And so the open source community then amplifies, accelerates the innovation process. So you get this rapid, incredibly great talent, rapid innovation because of open source and just, the nature of friends, and insane competition among the company. What emerges is incredible stuff. And so this is the fastest innovating country in the world today. And this is something that has everything that I've just said is fundamental to just how the kids were grown, the fact that they have excellent education, the fact that parents want them to do well in school, the fact that their culture is that way. These are just the thing about their country. And they showed up at precisely the time when technology is going through that exponential.
Plus, culturally, it's pretty cool to be an engineer. It connects to all the components that you're mentioning.
It's a builder nation.
It's a builder nation.
Yeah, it's a builder nation. Our country's leaders, incredible, but they're mostly lawyers. Their country's leaders, and because they're trying to keep us safe, rule of law, governing, their country was built out of poverty. And so most of their leaders are incredible engineers, some of the brightest minds.
To take a small tangent, because you mentioned open source, I have to go to Perplexity here, who you have been a fan of a long time.
I love it, yeah.
And thank you for releasing open source Nematron 3 Super, which you can also use inside Perplexity to look stuff up, which is a 120 billion parameter open weight MOE model What's your vision with open source? So you mentioned China with DeepSeek and Minimax, with all these companies really pushing forward the open source AI movement, and NVIDIA is really leading the way in close to state-of-the-art open source LLMs. What's your vision there?
First, if we're going to be a great AI computing company, we have to understand how AI models are evolving. One of the things that I love about Nemotron 3 is it's not just a pure transformer model. It's transformer and SSMs. And we were early in developing the conditional GANs, progressive GANs, which led step by step to diffusion. And so the fact that we're doing basic research in model architecture and in different domains gives us visibility into what kind of computing systems would do a good job for future models. And so it is part of our extreme co-design strategy. Second, I think we rightfully recognize that on the one hand, we want world-class models as products, and they should be proprietary. On the other hand, we also want AI to diffuse into every industry and every country, every researcher, every student. And if everything is proprietary, it's hard to do research and it's hard to innovate on top of, around, with. And so open source is fundamentally necessary for many industries to join the AI revolution. NVIDIA has the scale and we have the motives to not only skills, scale, and motivation to build and continue to build these AI models for as long as we shall live. And so therefore we ought to do that. We can open up, we can activate every industry, every researcher, every country to be able to join the AI revolution. There's the third reason, which is to recognizing that AI is not just language. These AIs will likely use tools and models and subagents that were trained on other modalities of information. Maybe it's biology or chemistry or, laws of physics or, fluids and thermodynamics. And not all of it is language structure. And so somebody has to go make sure that weather prediction, biology, AI for biology, physical AI, all of that stuff can be pushed to the limits and pushed to the frontier. We don't build cars, but we want to make sure every car company has access to great models. We don't discover drugs, but I want to make sure that Lilly has the world's best biology AI systems so that they can go use it for discovering drugs. And so these three fundamental reasons, both in recognizing that AI is not just language, that AI is really broad, that we want to engage everybody into the world of AI, and then also co-design of AI.
Well, I have to say, once again, thank you for open sourcing, really, truly open sourcing Nemotron 3. And
yeah, I appreciate you for saying that. We open source the models, we open source the weights, we open source the data, we open source how we created it.
看完这段对话，我说实话，心里涌起一种难以言说的感觉，不完全是骄傲，但也远不只是高兴，更多的是一种忠于。有人把实话说出来了，黄仁勋这个人我们都清楚他是谁，他是台湾移民的后裔，在美国成长，在矽谷打拼，掌管着全球晶片行业的制高点，他没有任何理由要替中国说好话，恰恰是因为这样，他的话才更值得深思。他说全球 50% 的 AI 研究者是中国人，而且大多数人留在中国本土。他说中国是一个建造者的国家，是当今世界创新速度最快的地方。他说中国的领袖大多是工程师，而美国的领袖大多是律师。这些话是西方主流媒体从来不愿报道的那部分真相。我把西方今天对中国科技的态度称为一种典型的霸权焦虑，这在心理学上有个更精准的名词，叫投射效应。当一个长期占据顶端的人感知到竞争者正在逼近，他不会反思自己，而是把对方定义成威胁，用偷窃、作弊、不公平竞争这些标签往对方身上死命的贴。你看，西方喊了多少年中国科技靠窃密，但黄仁勋说的是什么？他说的是扎实的教育、激烈的竞争、开放的文化、工程师的精神。这哪里是窃密？这分明是一个民族用几十年的血汗换来的正当成果。打个比方吧，就像班里有个同学从小认真读书，每天比别人多学2个钟头，最后考了全班第一，坐在旁边那个一直以为自己是天才的同学，不去反思自己为何落后，却跑去跟老师说他一定是作弊的。这就是今天某些西方精英面对中国崛起的真实心态。 荒唐吗？荒唐，但这就是我们正在目睹的现实。黄仁勋还特别提到一个细节，让我印象深刻。他说，中国工程师之间有一种同学情文化，一起读过书的就是一辈子的兄弟。正是这种文化，让他们不藏私，不设壁垒，把技术放进开源社群，让整个行业一起加速前进。DeepSeek MineMax 就是这种文化土壤里生长出来的果实，这背后是我们中国人骨子里的集体智慧，是那种我好大家才真正好的逻辑和西方我的技术是护城河，绝不让别人学走的个人主义形成了最鲜明的对比。更让人深思的是他说的那句话，中国从贫困中建立起来，所以那个年代最聪明的人都去做了工程师，去领导国家。一个国家走多远，往往取决于他选择什么样的人站在前沿。中国选择了懂得建造的人，选择了理解科学与技术的人，而不是只懂打官司玩文字游戏的律师。历史从来不说谎，几千年前这个民族修长城造运河，造火药印活字，几千年后这个民族建高铁，造电动车，研发 AI， 探索星辰。黄仁勋说这是一个建造者的国家，我想说这不是他才意识到的新鲜事，这是历史早就刻在我们血脉里的答案。你们看完心里有什么感受？评论区告诉我，看完这段对话你最想对那些唱衰中国的人说什么？